So she's going to come on her own on Sunday.
Okay.
So we are going to, Terry's going to kind of record our conversation.
Yeah, so Katie can hear you.
To relay.
Great.
I spoke to her this morning, and she was looking at some of the photographs, and her inclination was to look at going all the way back to the back of the window banks.
Gotcha.
And looking at the split in the
Right,
roof, which
that's
we
what I
already
was
knew.
yeah.
It's not any better, and it's
Right.
completely apart. So maybe I was like, well, I was hoping it wouldn't be that much, but now looking at it,
I almost feel like when this wall came down that we got some additional.
It's for some
spread.
spreading.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And there's so much more of the roof that's open in it. Where the roof is peeled back there on the left, it's halfway down the bank of windows, that location.
Right.
So it's not that much farther back to go. I wonder, we should look at this inside corner because there's about 5 feet of log there that is in the inside corner before the windows start. Does that stay, or are we looking at a clean?
Take it off at the.
Yeah. Now the one thing that we should be aware of is that where the gable front comes forward on the west side is slightly wider than the auditorium.
Okay.
So they don't really line up through the building. It's a curious.
Yeah, so you can't really carry that line all the way across. It's a bumped out 1.6 or something.
Right. So, it's going to have to be, it would be a stepped. But also, I was wondering about the alignment of the piers, and these are our new piers, though, right?
That's right.
So, I don't, is there a structural, I'll get my shadow out of the way. Is there a structural line in the foundation that works with the framing line above? And I don't know if there is a sort of clean place where you can say, yeah, it all lines up.
Yeah, probably not all the way through. Yeah. I mean, we could jog, if we did take the entire wing off, we could jog it to match the at that second hall wall as you kind of work your way in. But
that would be fine. Are there currently piers that follow?
There are some. I didn't show those in this plan. I didn't show existing in this, but yes, they are. In fact, there's a chimney in line with.
Oh, there's that.
With that line.
Yep.
And then we turn the corner, and there's the piers.
Okay.
Yep. So they follow that same jog.
I think that does make sense. Because the damage goes all the way back to here already, so isn't that much more to go?
Right. That was essentially our phase 1, was it not? Of our.
We're moving into phase 1.
Oh boy.
The backwards way, yeah.
Yeah, that was phase 1.
The building compelled us to do phase 1. Is there a what was I going to ask? Foundation piers. With the deconstruction, I guess those foundation piers would be dismantled as well, except for along the perimeter.
So let's see. Was I leaving those where I could? I know we were turning the perimeter piers. We were leaving those, but then turning them into, basically veneer.
Right.
But yeah, the interior piers, we said all existing interior piers shall be removed from place and new steel post footings as shown. So yeah, they could.
So there's no reason to leave them and tiptoe around them while this is going on.
No. I mean, if it's easier, I don't know if that, how much work on the front end versus the back side.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you? I kind of want to go in and just see
see how far we can get.
Exactly. Is the front door open, or we need to go around the far side?
It's open. You just have to untie it.
Okay. I haven't seen. You didn't have any photos of this side, so I haven't seen what's going on out here.
Cause it looked the same.
Yeah. Some roofs peeling up.
Yeah.
This side, but it's.
Yeah, some of the roof peeling is added to it.
That was the other sort of rough spot. Was in at that valley.
So that could potentially be braced.
Right.
Boy, there's a lot of water that comes down that you can see how wet it is right now.
Oh, right at the pier. Yeah. Yep.
And that's what's caused that decay in that corner. Yep. It's really dropped, hasn't it? So that would maybe give a chance. The deconstruction would maybe give a chance to brace up that as part of the weather.
Yeah, keep that a little more protected. I agree.
skirting we want to keep just for aesthetic and historic reasons. So that would be taken out and set aside as part of it.
The skirting there.
Yeah, this sort of picket with the peeled logs picket that's between the foundation piers.
We'll leave those piers like we said.
Yeah,
just for make sure we got it on
right.
the recording. The exterior perimeter piers.
Right.
See.
And then, yeah, I mean, I guess then ultimately these logs were going to be replaced wholly anyway.
Well, what we're going to do, at least current plan, I think was to take them out. The ones that were still had soundness and integrity, reuse those, and then supplement with new material, which will be a lot of new material. So after treating all of it,
right?
Right.
So then the treatment of the decisions about what is preserved when the logs are dismantled, the decisions about soundness, I guess we'll all be together at that point and can judge what.
Or when in doubt, save it.
Yeah.
And then if it is one of the, depending on how many days or whatever this dismantling takes. No, absolutely, Joe. I would say those get saved when in doubt, and then we always have the opportunity to kind of cull through those after the fact as well. But I mean, to streamline the deconstruction, I mean, obviously anything that's mush or clearly deteriorated is going to be tossed.
I noticed on the auditorium wing on this side, the bottom log, the whole face is completely fallen out, and it's just basically the back skin scooped out. That's all that's left of that bottom log.
That was the other. That in terms of the floor, that was, I think, that auditorium, that side of the auditorium. That I was expecting most of that to be brand new floor framing.
The logs, I would think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, the interior finishes that are dismantled could be stored in the building and should be stored in the building out of the weather. I don't think the logs should go into the building. I think the logs should be stacked out here, maybe even over by the other ones, but in a dry, high spot so they're not sitting in the dirt. And then tarped to try to keep them dry
with some cribbage of some kind under it.
It'd be ideal if they're stacked so that there's airspace between them, so that they don't, because they will sort of break down when in a pile if they're in that pile for any length of time. So kind of the way they would stack any, I guess, logs that are being seasoned for sawing and things like that. But we can talk to Katie about that more too, about just where that might happen. That actually looks pretty good over there. It looks a lot drier. This looks like it's
stays wet,
both slopey and wet.
It kind of follows the swell.
Okay. And then the windows. Did we ever answer the period of significance question about the windows?
We stopped at 65, I thought. The only thing we had in 67 was the sewing plant, right?
And do we know when those windows were put in, or when the old windows were replaced? Was it after 65?
I'm guessing it was, because the two people I talked to that may have had pictures that are still alive, they said that when they used it as a freedom school, it was the same.
Yeah.
And then when they came in as a daycare is when they made changes. So when they put in the plumbing, the bathroom, and that kind of stuff.
So that was, what year was the daycare?
The daycare would have been the same as the sewing plant, because that's the reason why they needed a daycare.
Post 1965.
Yeah, because the parents were now working at the sewing plant. They needed somewhere for these children to go.
Okay. I mean, I guess it's not a huge deal for them to store the windows inside, but if they don't need to be preserved, then it's simpler to not have to treat them carefully. But maybe it makes sense, just caution set to take them out carefully. They're not small windows, but okay, let's keep going.
So like, it's funny too, because like those are original windows, and those like to be aluminum frame windows. They don't seem to be the same.
Wait, say that again?
Those, they got wood around them, and these seem like they have aluminum around them.
Yeah.
They seem to be different. Maybe Calvin only did these, and he didn't do anything to those.
Well, these are still, the original windows were still not those windows. There may be 2 generations of
Okay.
replacement windows here, but the original windows were large, two-part.
They're under the building.
Yeah, exactly. Those. The ones under the building. This door's locked, right?
Yes, that door is always. I don't know if it's locked or if it's just barred. Can't open it. I don't think anyone ever opened it, to be honest with you. So we never tried to open it, Joe.
This gravel is new too, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
When did it last rain over here?
Yesterday.
Okay, that makes sense. We can get that.
How quickly does it dry out, though?
It takes days.
It does.
Yes. I told her by Sunday it should be pretty dry. You're still getting runoff at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's standing right there, and some of these still standing.
Yeah.
Low spots.
Yeah, that gentleman, when he graded around it, he just graded where he saw those big holes. He didn't come all the way around. You gotta break in, Joe.
Be careful walking and holding that phone up.
Because, you know, the National Trust do not like for us to leave it unlocked. Oh, yeah, me and the phone. I don't ever follow Joe down through here. I don't know how y'all do it. I usually go through the wall over there and come down. Well, I guess I should turn the light
Watch your
on.
step.
Thank you.
There are that middle portion
Let me turn this flashlight on.
is pretty rough.
They make it look so easy. Oh, who closed the door?
So this is that.
I think this is a little,
Yeah.
when I saw it.
Because the roof is open up here. So this is going to become a real problem really quick.
Yeah.
I don't even remember if that was there. I think the decay was there, but it's the bending.
That rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's,
And that gap between the chimney and oh, maybe that was there. Yeah.
I'll have to look. And that one too, is this open up more than it was?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah. Both of these are really, this is the worst possible location. So I think it, as part of the deconstruction of the north wing, there needs to be both some roofing repair, but also some bracing, additional bracing that needs to be brought in to keep this from doing anything worse.
Absolutely. I concur. I would definitely want to re-brace that beam. Yeah, well, because that was just really like a site-built girder truss anyway, if memory serves.
Yeah. And probably, maybe even before the building starts getting jostled, at least getting
something under it.
something
Yeah,
underneath it.
and I mean, ideally, let's see what there is existing down in that crawl space. Underneath that line.
Looks like. Yeah, this is new too. Yeah, there's been a lot more with these roof losses. You're getting water coming in different places, different new places.
Yep. Yeah, and we would probably want to put at least some corresponding short wood posts and catwalks down in the crawl space.
Yeah, let's take it all.
Stood under that shoring load.
Right.
Ideally, if we can get under there.
Terry? What's Jason's situation these days as far as maybe helping to get some additional bracing, interior bracing in here?
I'd have to ask him. I really don't know. He was supposed to come today, and he texted me yesterday that he wouldn't be able to make it.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. He hasn't seen it in a while.
Yeah. The furniture that's in here, these tables, were those school tables or did those come from someplace else altogether?
The tables in there?
Yeah, they're getting rained on now.
Okay.
I want to make sure they're not going to get messed up if they're important for the story of the building.
So that's a school table. Some of those are from the sewing plant. You know, they made caps and what they call those things. Sure heck, I can't even think of the name of it. But those little labels. So they had these long tables. They would put those on.
Okay.
Watch out for wasps.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that one's last year's or this year's, but
Who knows?
there'll be another one by then, I'm sure.
I think
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the so I think in terms of the deconstruction, what we need to do is we need to have a day, like a volunteer day before Katie and her crew come, where anything that needs to be preserved
Need to be taken out.
gets moved either into that part of the building or gets put in a pile and burned or whatever.
Okay.
And I think I'll
Silk screening. That's the word I'm looking
Okay,
for. It was
okay.
silk screening tables, but that's a desk for sure.
So I think I can get some UGA student volunteers down to help with this, and that would be perfect for
Okay.
But we have to be really careful about the floor,
Yes, you would.
and then it's heavy stuff like these refrigerators
And there's a Coca-Cola machine in the other room where the
door
floor
is
is.
fantastic, but it certainly didn't come from this building. It's out of somebody's big house somewhere. So this is
The refrigerator and the freezer, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, this was the
All
kitchen.
that weight and they support, they're still.
It's the right. Isn't that funny? They the one didn't fall. It'll stand.
This is bad, but this doesn't look appreciably worse than it did before.
Right, other than maybe this, I don't remember that being there.
Such a split.
That displacement, yeah. It may have been, but I don't remember that having that much opening between ceiling and top of the wall.
So
But that was always on the ground.
sort of amazing that this floor is still up where it is, because this wall is tilted out now and it's split off from the end wall. The floor actually was not
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, but you get the other end of it, right? I mean, that's
And this too, it's funny, it's catastrophic damage at the end wall, but this is not so different than it was before, except there's a whole lot more daylight up there.
yeah, it's just gonna continue to, let water in, unfortunately. Not as much water, some of these valleys, just because just what falls directly.
I am not following them out there. You see that over there?
Yeah, I mean, that's the two, I mean, the other option is not to.
Just to come back to the cloakroom.
Right, and leave the rest of it for later.
To try to get the.
But then we'd have to take off, probably wanna go ahead and I guess take off the rafters and ceiling, maybe from like, well, how would we keep that protected from the top? Because once we take, that's the trick with doing that. If we took it back to where the roof is missing, which would be basically this line.
Yeah.
But then we're still gonna have that wall.
Get the roof where it's peeled up there, put back down.
Right. So that we only have to go to this point.
Right. And then the gap down the middle is gonna continue to be a
It
problem.
is.
And it's certainly wider than it was before.
yeah.
It goes even farther back.
Right, and I guess that's the other thing, is we do all that, and then this thing just keeps, there's no tie at the ridge anymore, so, these ceiling joists, they deteriorate, so, potentially continue spreading.
Right.
And we just push to a different point. I mean, these cloak walls, they don't go all the way up, but they do provide some lateral bracing at the end here.
This is the other, I mean, the other option would be to take it back to that wall.
Right.
And take all this out.
Right.
And that's, the area of the open end of this building is really large.
Yes.
And there's a huge amount of attic space up there.
Yes.
And getting I was conceptually thinking of just a stick frame end wall that would just have plastic over it.
Mm-hmm.
But those studs up there to get to the ridge would be really, really long.
Right. They would be.
And that's high up in the air too, so who's gonna wanna do that?
Yeah, it's a tricky, I mean, that is I don't know what kind of capabilities the deconstruction team would have in being able to, where they're gonna work from a crane or how they actually are gonna physically dismantle rafters and joists. Or will they just do that, with manpower from the attic very carefully?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But then, yeah, you're right. The actual what we leave when we come back, even if we take it all the way to this wall, we've still got to do something from top of wall to roof. So I guess we can build on top of this wall temporarily to roof, and that could be our sort of closure wall with some kickers coming down from plate line, from attic line, and then potentially also longer kickers from roof line. There would probably have to be those, like I call them, they're like tilt-up braces, or you see them all the time in shopping centers or CMU where they're steel. And they come back at it. Now usually they go to an internal slab. In our case, they become an exterior, so we'd have to lay some capital or something down here.
But at least this wall's already built.
Right.
That wall's already built, this wall's already built, so rather than having the big open space that you're having to enclose, it would be simpler if we only had the attic portion to enclose.
I think just to kind of talk through all the scenarios, if we just went to cloakroom wall, took roof off, how would that work? If we took the roof off, potentially further back, left the attic joist, for example, in this room, all the way to the cloakroom wall, and then what can we do above that to shed water and we're going to have cloakroom wall, our attic joist.
Terry, are you following what we're talking about?
Of course not.
What we're, to try to minimize the amount that needs to be taken off, we're wondering whether we could leave these cloakroom walls in place, come up.
We just couldn't get back. It'd be nice if this wall was closer, then we could just kick back with like a temporary roof.
And then we're trying to figure out if it's feasible to leave the ceiling and the ceiling structure, but to take the roof off above it back a ways where it's so damaged. And then sort of enclose the open end of the roof, but then this horizontal surface would have to be waterproofed as well.
That would be.
It's going to be tough.
I'm not sure how we would do that. Without a lot of new material, and then it's like, if you're using all that material, where do you?
Then maybe the only option, you either pick that one or you pick that one.
Then you got to leave the roof and just make do with what you have.
But this wall, which one is picked out farther in this plane? Is
this one. This wall.
This far farther this way.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So we go across the hallway, it would step back to the corner wall, and then it would run down that way.
Correct.
To the corner. And we'd be taking out to the inside corner. I assume to the inside corner of the auditorium. That's right. Okay.
Sound like a lot of work.
It is.
This is my neighbor's grandmother. See, they've been over.
06. 15, 13.
Yeah, I see they sign their name when they come to visit. It looks like.
So there's a
a guest register.
Yeah, that's what it's become.
For Katie's purposes, the amount of material is gonna, it's all this flooring, all this wall planking, the framing. There's a lot.
Yes,
a lot
it
of
is.
material. And I think the south wing is going to be the floor's better in the south wing than any other part of the building. So for the loads, Reed, do you have any concerns about weight back there?
In terms of storing stuff?
Yeah.
Well, spread it out for sure.
Let's just look at that.
I think, because we're talking about, obviously there's some furniture in here. Watch your step.
I know y'all make that look so easy. My legs are shorter than y'all.
And then we're gonna have some, some framing, I guess, potentially, some of the, I would just say spread it out as much as possible, Joe.
Yeah.
The most dangerous part's gonna be walking down this hall with it, to get it into this wing. Of course, I guess, if you can go, there's no way to get outside and come around.
You're right about the length of the material getting it into one of these. It's almost like you have to take the window out to, is that going to work?
Well, I don't know. What about those pod boxes? Couldn't they just bring it, put it outside, let it load in from there?
If it's long enough.
Yeah.
See, some of this, like these floors, well, there is a splice in here, so it's not full length. You've got studs that are the full height of the ceiling, which is 12 plus feet.
You might be able to get them in, I think, but just walking down the hallway, you guys can put temporary lower or something down.
Yeah.
During the work process. It's gonna be tight. You can stand them up some, I guess, maybe as you come in. I don't know if that would get you in or not. But then that door, we could snake in that way. Let's see. If we just figure we're gonna have like a, so that's 12 feet. So I think we can get 12 foot long stuff in there. Longer stuff, maybe a little, probably. Rafters would be longer, but yeah, but it's, what is that? Let's see, if that's, there you go. So that's like 20 feet.
Okay. If you can get it down the hallway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely want to spread it out because we got a lot of work to be done on the floor as well before it's sound and.
Terry, what are these windows that are in here?
Sure, okay, on the floor?
Yeah, these that are set up.
Okay, remember the president of this back in 1998? He was a construction worker. So that could be anything. If he needed to store stuff, he would brought it here. Right. Right.
Who knows where.
So we don't think that they came from these windows.
No, I doubt it. Because he put the ones from this window under the building. But these, I'm not sure, because look at these ones. And they could have, remember his house was also built in the late 1800s. So it could have come out of their house when they remodeled their house. Their house was over here.
Okay. I mean, the size is not far off from what they would be. So
Right. So they could be.
some miracle, they may be the real deal.
Yeah, he died in 2007 and he didn't leave. His daughter thought he left notes, but they don't know where they are. And so, because he wrote everything, but they can't find them. So they could have been from here.
35.
What's the length of them?
34.
Roughly half of the window.
47. Let's see. 47, that would be what, 94?
Yeah.
That's 92 and a half.
So the casings around these windows are not the original. So
Right. Could have built that in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's 34 and a half. And that was 35.
So it could be. That's odd. I never even realized that they I don't know why I never saw that. If there's no,
The Masons also use this building. So Joe, they could have done a whole lot of things because the carpenters lived up the street on both ends.
yeah,
And so they would have known how to do all of that.
I wonder what, I feel like some of the finished material could very well be stored in here, but I worry about the framing and the sheer quantity of framing
that we're gonna have.
It's just, I don't think we're gonna have room to fit it, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be hugely heavy. So
Yeah.
what are the alternatives for exterior storage that would keep the stuff from getting ruined?
Yeah, because we definitely want to keep it dry
Yeah,
and up off the ground.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We just have to figure out a way to buy a shed. We could also do that.
I mean, it may be that, like
Yeah.
some kind of Butler building or even a
Right.
prefab thing that would just be
Yeah.
just out there temporarily as a
Mm-hmm.
place to store stuff.
Because we got that shed we have now with the grant for the garden. So there may be a way we can get one for storing this stuff too.
Yeah.
We just have to look at it and see.
There's I've been eyeballing them because I need one myself for my own house. And I keep, every time I drive somewhere, I pass 2 or 3 of them on the
Sheds.
way. There's one in, closest to here. There's one in between Madison and Athens. There's 2 between Madison and Milledgeville, and all over down there.
What is it? Some kind of storage shed thing?
Those places. They're basically these sort of prefab aluminum
Okay.
buildings, and they're relatively cost effective.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a lot of area under them, but they typically go down on a slab or something like that. So that may be part of the prep work would be to, if there's somebody local who could, if we can figure out what size it would need to be, and then they can put
Right.
a slab for it, that would be ideal. Because
We could put that in what would be the future parking lot or something.
Yeah.
Could you? We probably don't have a site plan that far down the line
so
yet.
far.
But,
Yes, they do.
they do.
Mm-hmm. The parking lot, the trees and the shrubbery, all of that was thought about. Even building a cabin back here and putting in a little small park for the people to sit. All of that has been thought about.
Well, then
It's nothing in drawing.
Have to waste that slab.
Yeah.
If you could figure out where to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
You just have to get together with the gentleman who's writing grants and who you guys know what you're talking about, because a lot of it is over my head. This is all new to me, but yes, they have thought about all of that. Before Calvin died, he did a lot of thinking and sketching and writing, and then when I came on board with ideas how it could be used, so we're always thinking about how we can use it, how we can make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be great if it could do double duty.
Yes, it would.
Something
It'd
in
be
the future.
perfect.
Yeah.
Because then Jay Scott can be thinking about it from a grant writing perspective, and it's on his mind. So yeah, because he want to tie in this building with the church. So because they was, they kind of worked hand in hand. The original school was on the church yard, and then the deacons and the people who started this building came from the church building. The deacons and such. Even the superintendent of schools, she was Jean supervisor. She was from the church. So he's going to try to tie them in together. That also bring in the cemetery, which is behind this building.
Have we talked about that? About a National Register District nomination that includes all 3?
No, not yet. We haven't.
It's something that when I roll off, it's been a few years since I was on the board, but one of the things that we were trying to emphasize was district nominations that when you had this combination of resources, the school, the church, and sometimes a lodge hall, but in the cemetery as well, that they're sort of like 3 legs of the tripod.
Wonderful.
And that they should be nominated together because their relationships were so intrinsic to their importance. Because a lot of these, Cherry Grove School out in
Yes, I know in Washington.
yeah. They have the same relationship. There's a church right next door, cemetery, school building. They nominated. Their nomination is to the walls of the school building and not anything of the site.
Really?
And at the time they came to the board, for the Georgia Review Board for, their vote, I was like, hey, did you think about, expanding this district? And they said, it took us so long to get to where we are today.
That was why
we are not changing anything. And I was like, that's perfectly
Yeah.
fine. But in the future, think about a larger district that would include the multiple resources. And this is exactly the same.
Yes, it is. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. The oldest grave that you can see that's labeled is 1848.
Yeah.
The church, of course, started as a brush arbor in 1865, right after Emancipation.
Yep.
The community built the schools, so it makes sense. There's children attended, so it just makes sense to tie all three together.
What's your recollection of this? The water course that runs between the buildings is just when it rains.
Sherrill Creek, talking about Sherrill Creek.
Just this little thing, is that?
That deep
the ditch.
ditch, that's Sherrill Creek.
Okay.
So there's a whole story behind Sherrill Creek. An editor from Kentucky, New York, he came here to write the story of Alexander H. Stephen. His name was Henry Cleveland. He hired 7 brothers who moved into the neighborhood with Millie Roberts, so we call him the Roberts brother. He hired them to dig that ditch so that the water would go to his plantation.
Oh.
So originally it was Sherrill Creek, but he wanted to avert it so that it would run to his plantation. And to pay them, he paid them in land. So they donated one of the acres of the land to the school, to the church. That's how the church got the land to build.
Okay.
So because it was Sherrill Creek, nobody lived in this area.
Okay.
So he wanted the water to go to his plantation. If you walked in there, you'll see where the water flowed.
Okay.
But they gave him the acre of land to build the church, and then the church bought 3 more acres later on. Henry Cleveland also helped take the minutes because they couldn't read or write. So he took the minutes for them when they first started, and so they could take everything to the courthouse to have the deed done correctly. So yeah, that's history in that little ditch down there. Yeah, that was Sherrill Creek. Yeah, and they dug it. It was either 1/2 to 3/4 miles, is what I'm told.
Boy.
Yeah,
This is basically the head of it, isn't it? Because it's this bowl that flows into that, and then it adds to it and continues down.
Yes, if you look at the old maps and you look for Sherrill Creek, you'll see how it ran behind this, how it ran through here, and then it branched off and went into what they call Little River. And what those guys did is they stopped it from flowing through here, so it would go back to his plantation. Yeah.
Interesting.
It is.
It's a lot of engineering.
Yeah, 1/2 to 3/4 miles is what it was.
Good Lord.
But they made it work. Sure did. Yeah, the Roberts brothers did all that. Their descendants are supposed to be coming here this summer. They want to see. They heard so much about this area. One of the sisters married Henry Turner, the guy who owned the house there, whose grandson did a lot of the repair work here. And so they want to come and see it.
Okay.
A lot of history, Joe.
Yep. As far as our immediate needs, I think I'm going to try to make it on Sunday. Do you know what time you're going to meet Katie?
No, whatever time she say.
Okay.
I did tell her that I have church, so I get out of church about noon.
Okay.
So somewhere after noon. I told her my days are free after 12 o'clock.
Okay. I think that I feel like,
You need to come back.
yeah, I think that
It's
walk
Easter
through-
Sunday, so remember that now, because you may have
know.
plans.
I don't.
Okay. So yeah, if you can come back, that would be wonderful. Then you and her can put y'all great minds together, and
Yeah.
you can tell her what it is she's thinking, and she can tell you what she's thinking, and y'all all figure it out.
She may have some, I'd be curious to pick her brain about how they handle materials once they take them down.
Right.
Right.
What have they done in the past? What should we be thinking about? Because I'm a little bit at a loss what to do with,
I mean, yeah, like I say, the only way to minimize that right now would be if we could leave everything sealing up, and then you'd almost have, you'd need some
Yeah,
rafters or
frame
something
up.
and have to
Yeah.
stub up so often to support those.
Yeah.
It's a lot of new framing.
It's a like creating a what I would call a Dutch gable, you know, the
Yeah.
small gable with then a shed roof coming off the bottom
Right.
of it and then down.
I guess you don't need the temporary, well, you still gotta have a wall at the, back at the, in the attic unless you take it all, you know, unless your
Yeah.
framing goes all the way up to, but even then you gotta have something there to carry your framing, so,
And then
Yeah.
just accessing, you know, what equipment do they need? What equipment would anybody need to get
Right.
up there? How's that? Is, you know, are we talking about lifts? Are we talking about scaffolding? How's that gonna get done?
Yep.
Boy.
I'm sure that maybe they have, you know, enough experience that they can
I'm sure they
rattle
do.
off exactly how, you know, they'll achieve it.
Yeah, because they repurpose in Savannah, so you got all those high buildings in
Oh,
Savannah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm sure they know how they want to do it. I know somebody mentioned scaffolding around here. That was years back. They talked about that. Putting a scaffold around the building to make it easier to work from.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing came of it.
Okay.
All right, Joe.
Will you let me know what time you and
course I will.
she coordinate, and then
Sure.
I'll do my best to be here.
Because she's the one who got to travel the farthest.
She
So,
does.
so definitely I'll let you know.
Okay.
After you too.
Let us be the guinea pig.
Oh yeah, if y'all don't fall, I'm coming.
That's
I love this wall.
problem as well. It's more. Yeah, so I think inevitably we're going to need to lift out here because nobody's going to climb on that roof, but to tack back down a lot of that roofing, it's going to.
No, the last time they did that was about 2000, because the president, Michael Bowman, he was up there attacking it.
Yeah.
So that's been a long time.
Boy, that storm really did a number on it.
Didn't it though? But you know what? I was really surprised it didn't fall with the first one. We actually had a tornado come overhead. I was really I ran down this road to see if this building was still standing.
Oh, wow.
Because it tore down those trees like they were nothing. It just snapped them in half.
Was this the one in the middle of last summer? Or was it?
It was some, I think, yes, it was. 'Cause we didn't know what it was that was coming. We knew something was coming, didn't know what it was, but yeah, it threw trees all across Highway 22. They had to bring out the crew to cut them down, move them out the way.
You know, it's funny that a lot of these, just looking at that line of the ceiling against that wall, and you realize that a lot of the out of level conditions were original to the building. You know,
Mhm.
It was never particularly square, and it's that, you know, that would, yeah.
Joe, in 1935, I was just surprised they did all this.
Yeah. It's such an ambitious building. I think it may be the largest Rosenwald plan that was one of the readily available plans.
Mm-hmm.
And the scale is massive.
Yeah.
And to do it out here, self-perform using the materials that you had available.
That's right.
is really something.
Because George Atkinson in his book talks about using the wagons to bring the whole trees down to the spot and how they was able to get them here. And it's like, y'all went through all of that.